Hello, dear learners. Welcome back to our channel where English learning becomes an unforgettable adventure. Today, we begin the incredible life story of one of the greatest leaders in history, Nelson Mandela. This is not just a story, it is a journey of hope, courage, and strong determination. Listening to this story will help you improve your English vocabulary, pronunciation, and listening skills. But more than that, it will inspire you to dream big and never give up, no matter how difficult life becomes. So get ready for the most powerful and most motivational story you have ever heard. Let us begin the journey of Nelson Mandela, a man who changed the world. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a small and quiet village called Mvezo in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. His birth name was Rolihlahla Mandela, which in the Xhosa language means pulling the branch of a tree. Some people also say it means troublemaker, a name that later matched his bold nature against injustice. He was born into the Thembu royal family, a tribe known for its rich history and deep cultural values. His father, Gadla Henry Mfakanyiswa, was a respected chief and advisor to the Thembu king. Although Mandela's family was not rich, they were highly respected in their community. His mother, Nosekani Fani, was a devoted Christian woman who taught him kindness, humility, and strong faith in life. Mandela's childhood was simple but full of happiness. He lived in a small hut made of mud and straw, surrounded by green fields and rolling hills. There was no electricity, no running water, and no modern comfort. Yet he felt free and peaceful. As a young boy, he enjoyed running barefoot in open fields, herding cattle, swimming in streams, and playing traditional Xhosa games with other children. At night, he listened to elders telling stories around the fire. These stories were about brave warriors and great leaders, and they planted a strong spark in his heart. One day, his father told him that a true leader is not someone who seeks power for himself, but someone who serves his people. These words stayed deeply in his heart for his entire life. When Mandela was only 9 years old, a painful tragedy happened. His father became very sick and passed away. This was a heartbreaking moment for young Mandela, but it also became a turning point in his life. After this loss, his mother sent him to live with Chief Jongintaba Dalindyebo, a royal leader of the Thembu people. The chief treated Mandela like his own son and gave him a chance to see a world beyond his village. For the first time, Mandela experienced a different lifestyle in the chief's palace. He observed important meetings and learned about leadership, responsibility, and tradition. This experience slowly shaped his thinking about justice and society. Mandela started his education at a Methodist school when he was very young. It was here that his teacher gave him the English name Nelson, as it was common for African children to receive English names in school. Even though he did not fully understand the reason, he accepted it and focused on his studies with full attention. He became a serious and curious student. He loved subjects like English, history, and geography. He was especially interested in stories of African heroes who resisted colonial rule. During this time, his belief grew stronger that education is one of the most powerful weapons a person can use to change the world. As he grew older, Mandela began to clearly see the unfair system around him. South Africa was ruled by Apartheid, a system that separated black and white people in every part of life. Black people were not allowed to vote, own land, or live in certain areas. This injustice deeply affected him. At the age of 16, he took part in a traditional Xhosa ceremony where boys become men. Elders spoke about responsibility, strength, and duty. They also expressed sadness about the suffering of their people under apartheid. This moment made Mandela feel a strong responsibility to fight for justice. When he was 19, his guardian arranged a marriage for him. But Mandela had different dreams. He wanted education and independence, so he made a brave decision and ran away to Johannesburg, the biggest city in South Africa. In Johannesburg, life was very different and very difficult. The city was full of energy, but also full of inequality. Black people worked hard for very little pay and lived in poor townships. Mandela lived in a small room in Alexandra Township and struggled daily, but he never gave up. He worked as a night watchman and later as a clerk in a law firm while continuing his studies. Often he studied at night using candlelight. Hunger and hardship were part of his daily life, but his determination remained strong. Later, Mandela enrolled at the University of Witwatersrand to study law. He was one of the few black students there and faced discrimination, but instead of breaking him, it made him stronger and more focused. During this period, he joined the African National Congress, a political group fighting for the rights of black South Africans. He attended secret meetings, listened to powerful speeches, and began shaping his vision for a fair country. Mandela believed in a South Africa where all people, regardless of race, could live together in peace and equality. He wanted children to grow up without fear and families to live with dignity. This dream became the strongest force in his life. He once said that after climbing one great hill, a person realizes there are many more hills to climb. This shows how he saw life as a continuous struggle and learning journey. While working in the ANC, Mandela met Oliver Tambo, who became his close friend and legal partner. Together they opened the first black law firm in South Africa, helping poor people who suffered under unjust laws. Mandela also married Evelyn Mace in 1944. They had children together, and he loved his family deeply. However, his political struggle often kept him away from home, creating difficulties in his personal life. In 1948, apartheid laws became even stricter. Mandela and other leaders decided to resist more actively. They organized peaceful protests, strikes, and movements inspired by non-violence, including ideas from Mahatma Gandhi. At first, they believed peaceful resistance could bring change. Mandela strongly supported this approach and led many campaigns. He believed courage means not the absence of fear, but inspiring others to move beyond fear. However, the government responded with violence. Many protesters were beaten, arrested, or killed. Despite this, Mandela continued his struggle and was arrested several times. In 1952, he achieved a major milestone by becoming a qualified lawyer. He worked in court defending black South Africans who were treated unfairly. At the same time, he continued his political activities with even more energy. But in 1960, everything changed after the Sharpeville massacre, where police killed 69 peaceful protesters. This event shocked Mandela deeply and changed his thinking about resistance. After this, the government banned the ANC. Mandela and other leaders were forced to go underground. They created a secret armed wing called Umkhonto we Sizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation. Mandela explained that their aim was not to harm innocent people, but to sabotage government structures. He became a wanted man and had to travel in disguise across the country, organizing resistance and gathering support. Later, he also traveled internationally to gain global attention against apartheid. During this time, Mandela continued his mission despite extreme danger. He believed freedom was worth every sacrifice. Eventually, in 1962, he was arrested, and later in the Rivonia trial, he was sentenced to life imprisonment for his role in the struggle. He was sent to Robben Island, where he spent many years in harsh prison conditions. Life there was extremely difficult, but he continued to study, think, and inspire other prisoners. Even in prison, he remained mentally strong and focused on freedom. Years later, global pressure against apartheid increased. Finally, in 1990, Mandela was released from prison after 27 years. His release became a symbol of hope for the entire world. After his release, he continued negotiations to end apartheid peacefully. In 1994, he became the first black president of South Africa, leading the country toward unity and reconciliation. His life teaches us that even in the darkest times, hope and determination can change history. Nelson Mandela's journey shows that one person's courage can transform an entire nation and inspire the world forever. Became known as the Black Pimpernel because he was so good at evading capture, but his life was full of danger. He couldn't see his family, and he knew that every day could be his last. As a free man, in 1962, Mandela was arrested and charged with sabotage, treason, and attempting to overthrow the government. He used his trial as a platform to speak out against apartheid in his famous speech. He said, "I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to Robben Island, a bleak prison off the coast of Cape Town. Life in prison was harsh. Mandela was forced to do hard labor in a limestone quarry. He lived in a tiny cell with no bed and only a thin mat on the floor. The guards were cruel and Mandela was allowed only one visitor and one letter every 6 months. But Mandela refused to be broken. He used his time in prison to study, reflect, and plan. He even learned the African language to understand his enemies better. He also taught younger prisoners about leadership and the importance of staying hopeful. Mandela said, "I am fundamentally an optimist, whether that comes from nature or nurture. I cannot say part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward as the years passed." Mandela became a symbol of hope for millions of people around the world. Protests against apartheid grew stronger both inside and outside South Africa. World leaders and organizations called for Mandela's release, but the South African government refused when Mandela was imprisoned. Many thought his fight was over, but the truth was his imprisonment became the spark that ignited a global movement. Mandela spent 27 long years in prison. Most of them on Robben Island. Every day was a test of his patience and willpower. The guards tried to humiliate him, but Mandela remained dignified. The work was grueling, but he kept his spirit strong. He once said, "I realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." During those years, Mandela became more than a prisoner. He became a symbol of the fight against injustice around the world. People chanted free. Nelson Mandela, his name was whispered in schools, sung in protests, and carried on banners while Mandela was in prison. South Africa became a nation under siege. The apartheid government faced increasing protests, strikes, and international sanctions. Countries refused to trade with South Africa. Famous musicians like Stevie Wonder and Bob Marley dedicated songs to Mandela, even in prison. Mandela's leadership was felt. He secretly communicated with other leaders and even began negotiations with the apartheid government. Mandela understood something crucial to truly win. South Africa needed peace, not revenge. On February 11, 1990, the world watched as Nelson Mandela walked out of prison. He was 71 years old, his hair gray, but his spirit unbroken. His first words were, "I stand here before you, not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you. The people today, the time for healing of wounds has come. The time to build is upon us." The streets erupted in celebration. People danced, cried, and cheered. Mandela's release was not just his freedom. It was the first step toward a free South Africa. After his release, Mandela faced a tough question. How could South Africa heal after so much pain? Many people wanted revenge, but Mandela preached forgiveness. He met with the very people who had oppressed him and worked with them to build a new nation. He said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." Mandela became the leader of the CCC and began working toward South Africa's first democratic election. His goal was simple but powerful, a South Africa where everyone, black, white, Indian, colored, had equal rights. In 1994, history was made. For the first time, all South Africans, regardless of race, could vote. People stood in long lines, some for hours, to cast their votes on April 27, 1994. Nelson Mandela was elected the first black president of South Africa. His inauguration was a moment of pure hope. Leaders from around the world attended. Mandela said in his speech, "Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another." South Africa had a new beginning, and Mandela was at the heart of it. As president, Mandela focused on uniting the country. One of his most famous acts was supporting South Africa's rugby team, the Springboks, during the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Rugby was traditionally seen as a white man's sport, but Mandela wore the Springbok jersey and stood alongside the team, showing that unity was possible. This act of reconciliation was immortalized in the movie Invictus. The title came from a poem Mandela loved, which ends with the lines, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." After serving one term as president, Mandela stepped down in 1999, proving that true leaders know when to let go of power. He spent his later years advocating for peace, education, and the fight against poverty and HIV/AIDS. Mandela traveled the world, meeting leaders, inspiring youth, and reminding everyone of the power of forgiveness and determination. On December 5, 2013. Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. The world mourned the loss of a giant. Millions of people attended his memorial, including presidents, celebrities, and ordinary citizens whose lives he had touched. Mandela's legacy is not just in South Africa, but in every corner of the globe. He taught us that no matter how dark the road, no matter how high the mountain, hope and perseverance can change the world. Nelson Mandela's life is proof that greatness is not something you are born with. It's something you achieve through hard work, sacrifice, and unwavering belief in your dreams. His story reminds us never give up even in the hardest times. Forgiveness is stronger than hate. One person can make a difference. Nelson Mandela's life is a testament to the power of determination, patience, and forgiveness. He spent 27 years in prison for a cause he believed in, and when he was released, he could have chosen revenge or anger, but instead he chose peace. He showed the world that even in the darkest moments we can still choose the light of hope and love. Mandela's journey was not easy. There were many times when he could have given up, many times when life seemed impossible, but he kept moving forward. He knew that change wasn't easy, but he believed that small steps could make a big difference. He showed us that we don't have to be perfect, but we must never stop trying. In every challenge he faced, whether it was in the streets of South Africa or in the cold cells of prison, Mandela always remembered his dream of a free, equal, and peaceful world. And even though his fight was long, it wasn't just about him. He fought for the future of his children, his grandchildren, and for the generations to come. Mandela said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." This shows us that failure is not the end of the road. Every time we fall, we can rise again. Every mistake is a chance to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. No matter how many times life knocks us down, we can always stand up and keep going. His life teaches us that no matter where we come from or what we face, we all have the power to make a difference. We can be leaders even in the smallest ways. It doesn't matter if we're not famous or powerful like Nelson Mandela. Every kind word, every act of kindness, every moment we stand up for what's right. These things matter. Mandela's story is a story for everyone. It shows that no matter how hard life gets, we have the strength to keep moving forward. You have the power to overcome any obstacle. You are stronger than you think. So remember Nelson Mandela. When you feel like giving up, think about the hardships he faced, the struggles he endured, but most importantly, think about how he kept going. He didn't let anything stop him. And neither should you. Your dreams are worth fighting for, and you have everything inside you to achieve them. Mandela's journey wasn't just about changing South Africa, it was about changing the world. And he did. He inspired millions, and his message will continue to inspire for generations to come. So take his story to heart. Never forget that with hope, love, and determination, you can make the world a better place. In Mandela's words, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. This is where we end the story of Nelson Mandela, but his legacy lives on in all of us. Remember, you have the power to overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it seems. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you feel inspired, share Mandela's story with others. Together, we can carry forward his message of hope, unity, and freedom. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this.